Dope Discussions Podcast. Dope discussions, gay to Erica, woke discussions. Mob ties, how they rock and think they both was cousins. Gifting you with their words so you might know you something. Just go and look for them live, they do it every Sunday. Every Sunday.
And we gon' bring you that dope.
And we gon' bring you that dope. It's gay to beat it, baby. Main state to state, baby, coast to coast. Like the vibe, baby, spark the jokes.
And we gon' bring you that dope.
Come talk with Erica, man, talk with G. And all you gotta do is talk with me.
And we gon' bring you that dope. And we gon' bring you that dope. And we gon' bring you that dope. And we gon' bring you that dope.
Main state to state, baby, coast to coast. Like the vibe, baby, spark the jokes.
And we gon' bring you that dope.
Come talk with Erica, man, talk with G. And all you gotta do is talk with me.
And we gon' bring you that dope. And we gon' bring you that dope. And we gon' bring you that dope.
Gotcha!
I had to run it back again.
Surprise, surprise!
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Dope Discussion Sunday with your homegirl and your homeboy, your homegirl Erica out of Hammond, Louisiana.
Yep, and your homeboy, Gator Beater, baby. Out here in Atlanta, Georgia, shawty. Is that how we say it? What's going on? Welcome to the virtual congregation. How's everybody doing today?
Yes, we are back in the building. We got another dope discussion for y'all. Today, you know, one of our favorite topics, we're going to be talking about relationships. And I see a lot of people are frustrated, upset, mad about dating and relationships and, you know, all of the moving parts that go along with it. And I just thought about, you know, when I was in a relationship, a lot of the expectations that I had going in set me up for disappointment. And looking back on it, I recognize that a lot of those expectations were unrealistic, unhealthy, toxic, and just unattainable.
Right. I mean, I think sometimes we have pictures of what relationships are supposed to look like in our head, right? We have this whole idea, this fairy tale that's kind of playing in our head. But at the end of the day, Cinderella don't always end up with the glass slipper. Things are a lot different in the real world than they are in our fantasies. So, you know, it's one thing to look at things from your perspective. It's a whole nother thing to be looking at things, you know, from your own fairy tale point of view. Those rose-colored glasses, if you will.
Yeah, and like I like that you use that word, that fantasy, because I look back on it now and I recognize that I had a happily ever after fantasy type outlook on relationships, and I was coming from a broken place where I wanted a relationship to rescue me from something or to fill a void or a hole of something that was missing in my life from my childhood. And I think there are so many people who go into relationships with that same mindset. They don't even recognize that they're asking their partner to do something that's just not realistic. And so that's why we find ourselves in a series of relationships, unsatisfied, unfulfilled. And then we get to a point in life where we think relationships that just don't work.
Right, exactly. And I mean, because let's be honest, your partner will never be Superman. You know, as much as they can dress up like him, but they'll never be them. They'll never live up to the expectations that you have in your mind if your expectations are overblown. So I'd like to see how we're going to dive into this. This is nice.
Yes. So I came up with a list of some expectations that are universal that I think a lot of people go into relationships because if you've spent any time on social media, you'll see um, you'll see the cumulative idea behind how people look at relationships and what they think that they should be and what their partner should provide for them in a relationship. And I recognize that there's a lot of people living in a fantasy world.
Especially on social media.
Yes, and these are personal to me because I've also been guilty of these unrealistic expectations. And so we just want to dive into them to kind of give a different perspective and see where that thinking came from, what did I learn from it, and what we all can learn from it.
Right,
So
right, right.
I put together a few that we're going to discuss. So number one, my partner should always have my back and agree with
Mm-hmm.
me.
Mm-hmm. This is a bad one, right?
Hmm.
Because we think in our perfect world, in our perfect relationship, that everything should be perfect. We think that the person that we're with should automatically understand everything that we're doing, and they're going to take my side regardless of what's going on. If I'm in the
Hmm.
wrong, that's all right because I got a what's the term they use all the time? A ride or die. I
Ride or
got
die.
somebody that's gonna be behind my back and that's gonna have my back regardless of the wrong that I do. Or if I make a bad decision, this person's gonna stand by me regardless of what happens. And in all actuality, in a relationship, there will be disagreements. And that
Hmm.
doesn't necessarily mean if this person doesn't agree with you that they're in the wrong or that they don't love you or they don't care for you. It's
Hmm.
okay for them to disagree with you.
Yeah, and it doesn't leave room for growth. It doesn't leave room for improvement if you got somebody on your side who, when you're wrong, they're cheering you on.
Mm-hmm.
So what value do they bring to your life if they're going to continue to help you go down the wrong path and never out of love correct you so that you can see your blind spots? Because a lot of times we don't see where we're wrong until somebody else reflects that back to us.
Exactly. I call it wise counsel. I use this word a lot. I use this term a lot. And that's basically having somebody who, when you have your mind set in one direction, that will actually tap you on your shoulder and say, hey, I don't know if what you're doing is the right way of going about it. Here's a different way of possibly doing it. That's so important in relationships. If you have somebody who's going to be a yes man or a yes woman for every single decision that you make, then you're probably not in the right relationship because that person can't help you grow. That person can't help you, streamline into the right direction. You can't be right all the time. Well, some people think that they're right all the time, but in all actuality, you can't be right all the time.
Yeah, and it's just unrealistic. It's unhealthy to expect your partner to always be down for you, whether you're right or wrong, and to always agree with you, whether you're right or wrong.
Well,
That's not how relationships work, and they should not work like that. And if you have a partner that agrees with you 100% all the time, I can assure you that they're faking.
yep. There's no growth going on at all in that particular scenario. By the way, ladies, don't be no ride or die. Don't be sitting out here ducking slugs, ducking bullets, because you done went around with this guy. Oh, I've seen it a lot. Well, I'm a ride or die. I'm a ride or die. No, no, no. It's all right. We not dying today. Why I gotta
No.
get in the car? Where we going? Where we
I
riding
want to
to?
know where we going.
Where we riding to?
And you just missed the turn back there.
Right,
You missed the
exactly.
turn back there.
Exactly.
All right, number two. If we're really right for each other, then our relationship should be easy.
There was a meme about this that came out about a year or so ago, where when you find the right person, everything's easy and it's flawless and everything's. That's not how that scenario works. I mean, it won't always be perfect. It won't always be a scenario where even if you're with the right person, where you always agree on everything. Just learning how to live together,
Mm-hmm.
in a relationship is a challenge because you have ways that you do things and they have ways that they do things. I've seen arguments happen over the way that you fold clothes. I've seen, financial issues, when you're trying to start putting together your finances. There's not an easy path to it. You can make it easier. You can get rid of drama. That's
Mhm.
fine. Not having drama, that's perfect. But it won't be quote unquote easy. You're gonna have some speed bumps in the road.
Where in the world can you go and pick two people out of any group and have them agree on every single thing all the time? That's just not how human beings work. And
Right.
so a healthy relationship is going to be is going to involve two different minds, two different ways of thinking, two different point of views, two different perspectives, two different desires. And so the healthy part about it is, how do you manage those two? How do you come together in agreement or agreeing to disagree on certain things? That's the healthy part of relationship, but agreeing on everything all the time, and it's supposed to just be easy peasy and it's just supposed to flow, and we're never going to have any kind of hiccups in the road or anything like that. You living in a fantasy world.
Right. Now, I do want to take a detour on this because some people will listen to what we're saying right now and think the extreme, right? That, oh, well, relationships ain't supposed to be easy. So, hey, he cheated a few times, but, I'm going to be down for him regardless. The
No,
relationships ain't supposed to be easy. Or, he's an alcoholic or he's abusive or he's, but it ain't supposed to be easy, but I'm going to stick around. No, run in those scenarios. We're
no,
not
we're
talking about
talking
them.
about, right, we're talking about healthy conflict in a relationship.
Right.
We're not talking about toxic behavior, abuse, and
Hmm.
all of that type of stuff. And we're not telling you to go out and, because the relationship seems to be going well, to make up some shit,
Yeah, because
make
that
up some
happens. I've
drama.
I've seen that where this
Yes,
is going too easy.
this is
Let me
going
stir
too
the pot a little
good.
bit. Let me
Right.
stir it up. No, no,
That's
no.
not what we're
Just
talking about.
right.
So, yes, please, any healthy relationship, just when you go into it thinking about easy and everything's supposed to just be happy go lucky and love and butterflies in your stomach and all of that, that's not what we're talking about.
Right, 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 right.
Number three, if my partner really loves me, they would never do anything to hurt me.
And again, we're talking about not the extreme because there's people out here who live on that extreme. We're talking about a scenario where someone does something, they say something that they don't really necessarily mean, or they do something that they didn't know affected you the way that it affected you. I've had that happen to me because I'm the type of person who likes to take charge. Hey, I'm gonna take care of this. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of this, not knowing that me being so bullheaded and headstrong and trying to take care of this person, they kind of felt like, hey, I'm losing, some of my say in the way things go. You can't just jump into it, and it kind of hurt her, So
Hmm.
I can understand where this comes from, where you don't necessarily mean to hurt someone, but at the end of the day you did. It's all about the remorse and trying to make up for it, and identifying the situation, and trying to heal the situation.
Yeah, I mean, in day-to-day life, I mean, even any type of relationship, if your children, your relationship with their children, as a parent, as a child, we've all said or done something to hurt somebody that we love, not intentionally,
Hmm.
because we all have our different perspectives on how we take things, how we receive things. You might have said something out of a moment of anger,
Yeah.
and you said it in a way that hurt that person's feeling, even though it might not been even directed towards them.
Right,
but in that moment they took it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's humanly impossible to spend any significant amount of time with somebody and in their life and not do something.
Right, exactly. Now going back to that though, hey, these moments of anger come up a whole lot where they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to say that to you," or you find yourself doing it a whole lot. Then you need to reevaluate the relationship as a whole because maybe something else is going on. We're talking about the occasional scenario, not the repeated hurt of using abusive language and stuff like that.
Right. And again, we're reiterating in a healthy dynamic, in a
Mm-hmm.
healthy relationship, not in an abusive relationship,
Right,
not when it's something habitual, not when it's something like threatening, not when it's something that's threatening your mental health, not when it's something to that extreme. We're talking
right,
about day-to-day life. Sometimes you're just not on you have not having a good day. You're
right.
not on your P's and Q's. You might be stressed out with work and you might come home and you might take it out on your partner inadvertently. They might say something to you and you might snap because you're really thinking about what happened at work, but they know that's not your normal character. They know, that I'm gonna give them a minute, let them get themselves together because they're
Right,
tripping right now. But
right, right,
when we
right.
come back together, you better have a good explanation and a good apology for this.
Right, exactly. You hear that's why your beard patchy.
Oh my God, no. She was
No.
there. No, nothing to the extreme. We're just talking about every day-to-day life, going through a healthy relationship. You're going to do something that's not going to sit well with your partner every now and
Mhm.
then.
That's true.
I can guarantee it. So don't go thinking that the relationship is over. They changing on me, they disrespected me. And you know what? This is off topic. This is a sidebar, but I'm so sick of people using the word disrespect to mean something that it really don't mean.
Well,
Every time somebody says something you don't like, or every time somebody disagrees with you, or if somebody, anything, oh, they disrespected me. That's not disrespect. That's just
no.
disagreement. That's just, I don't agree with you.
Right. Disagreement is not disrespect. If you feel like disagreement is always disrespect, then you have the total narcissistic personality where you think everything that you say is the right thing. And that ain't gonna work. You're gonna wake up in the wrong world. I'll just say that.
Yeah. All right. Number 4, my partner should be my best friend.
And that happens a lot, where and we say that, and that's the way a lot of those old '90s love songs go, and that's fine to have that friendship. And sometimes your partner will be your best friend. Sometimes your partner will have other outlets as far as like their friendship goes, relationships that they've built over the years that they fall back on in scenarios. I've been in that position before where it's like, why she didn't come to me and talk to me? But you also have to realize that there are certain relationships that they fostered that they value
Mm-hmm.
and that they would like to fall back on. Doesn't mean that they love you any less. Don't mean that they gonna choose them over you. It just means that they may have a different type of relationship with them that they can speak to certain things that they don't speak to you about.
Right. And I think it's a beautiful thing if your spouse or your boyfriend or girlfriend is your best friend, but I think it becomes unhealthy when you make that a requirement.
Right,
Like
right,
my husband or my wife should be my best friend. Well,
right.
what if they don't see it that way?
Right. There should never be a requirement. It should never be like, oh, I ain't your best friend. Well, fool that then. We don't need to be together because I should be your best friend. I should be that does happen. I've seen that happen. Now, of course, especially with your spouse, you do share everything. We're not talking about that because that's a different scenario. You share everything, but with a best friend, it may be something where it's a heart to heart that they just try to have together, or it could be something like that where they feel more comfortable talking to them about it, and that's fine. Again, it's not like they love you less. It's just that they have that particular type of relationship with that person.
And I think I would want a partner who has healthy friendships with other people,
Mhm.
because if I'm their only friend, that's a red flag.
Yeah, it's like you're my only friend. You're
Yeah,
the
because
only
now
person
I
I
have the responsibility of being your everything.
Mhm.
And you don't
Right.
want to put that type of burden and responsibility on your partner to be your everything.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
All right, number 5. My partner should not be attracted to other people.
Ooh, that's a big one. Hold on, let me hide.
So all of a
Uh,
sudden, beautiful women and handsome men, you just became blind all of a sudden. You can't see attractive people no more. You can't acknowledge when you see an attractive woman, or you can't acknowledge when you see an attractive man, or not even just verbally saying it, but if I see just because I'm in love with you doesn't make him all of a sudden ugly.
right, exactly. Men, I want to talk to the men out there right quick. Men, y'all better not acknowledge that in public. Look, you better keep that to yourself. Don't be out there. Oh,
When
she's pretty. She fine as hell. No, no, no. That's not what we talking about.
What's wrong with a man acknowledging a woman's beauty? Now, it depends on how you're saying it. If you're being disrespectful, if you staring and all of that, that's different. But oh, she was a good looking woman.
Yeah, you can say that. Oh, once you are asked your opinion, you can say that. All right.
Well, that depends
Don't
on what
don't
type of woman
don't
you got,
don't
too.
don't lead, but don't lead it. Be like, don't be looking. Oh, she was a very attractive woman, fellas. Don't get hurt. I'm trying to warn you. Don't catch them hands, right?
I
Keep it to
mean,
yourself.
I'll be like,
Uh,
yeah, she was, huh? What's wrong with
see,
that?
that's you, fellas. Don't let Erica get y'all beat up. Keep that to yourself until you are beckoned. Oh, she was pretty. Yeah, she was a good looking woman. Yeah, do that. That's fine. Don't you say it first.
But you know, there are some people who feel like if you were so in love with me, you wouldn't see other women. You would only
No.
have eyes for me.
Mm-mm. And see, here's the way I look at that, right? Because if I call you beautiful and I call you attractive and I'm so into you, that means that I have to have a base standard of what is attractive, right?
Hmm.
So if you're the only person in the world that's attractive, then how much do you value my opinion of attractiveness?
Hmm.
It don't mean anything, right? I know beautiful, I know fine, I know sexy when I see it.
Right.
And so I can say this woman is beautiful, this woman is sexy, this woman fine as hell, but I'm admiring you and I'm putting you in that same category. So that means something. If I'm only saying this to you and them other women, they're not attractive, they're not then you're lying. Somebody lying,
Right.
you
And
know.
there's millions of men that I've seen that I've said they are attractive, they're good looking, but I don't see myself wanting to be with them. I just
Right, right.
admire that they are an attractive man, but it doesn't mean I want to be with them.
Exactly. That's the big thing is that these people might be attractive, but that don't mean that you're gonna be running up behind them. You might
Right.
hit the
I'm not
hearts.
lusting after him or saying, oh, I wish I could take that home. I'm thinking about how that would be in the bed. I'm just saying he looked good.
You gonna hit you gonna hit the heart on Instagram. You're gonna hit the heart.
Yeah.
Don't put the like on the picture. you know. By the way, fellas, don't let that get you in trouble either. Just observe and pass. Observe and
Right.
pass.
It's
Observe and
okay
pass.
to acknowledge attractive people, but don't be out here ogling
Right.
and lusting and
You putting heart eyes into everybody you
just
see. And you try to
you and everybody's comments. Ooh, you look good. Ooh,
right.
that skirt show fitting you, and all of
Mhm.
that.
Exactly.
I mean, we grown ups. We got common sense. We know what's appropriate, what's not. When you crossing the line, when you being disrespectful to your relationship, to your partner, you know, if you wouldn't be okay with saying this while they're in front of you, then you
Right.
probably should not be saying it.
Right. That's the golden rule right there. If I'm sitting there and I'm doing this or I'm saying something and I gotta look over my shoulder and be like, let me not type that, then I don't need to be typing it in the first place.
Mm-mm. Exactly. It's just, a level of respect.
Right. And
All
again,
right.
fellas, I'm telling y'all, don't let Erica get y'all beat up. Y'all keep y'all mouth closed. If you want to look, you just keep y'all mouth
I'm,
closed.
our point is, if the people were out there and they were attractive before you got in a relationship, do not expect your partner to go dumb and blind and don't see
Hmm.
people. That's a healthy relationship when you can acknowledge that people are attractive. It doesn't mean, and I trust my partner. I know that they wouldn't, try to go after them. They just acknowledge that the person is attractive.
Right. That's the big thing. Trust. Don't get up under these Instagram models DMs talking about I see where my man put hearts on your picture. Don't be confronting folks, and
Yes.
about stuff like that. That don't make no sense.
Yes, Love Tucker, I agree. It still would be nice to have, to go into a relationship with that
Hmm.
label on it that says guaranteed to never hurt you.
Right. Right.
But
Where they sell that at? That'd be
I know,
nice.
right?
You
Well, we could get one
know?
of
Right, right.
them.
Guaranteed to not hurt. What? This Johnson and Johnson?
Guaranteed to never hurt you, girl.
Right.
And believe me, I've heard that though, and I fell for it.
I would never hurt you.
I've never hurt you, girl.
Come with their best Ralph Tresvant impersonation.
Hey, Kiki says, right. Admiration and lusting are totally different.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, as far as Idris Elba, I think I'll be doing a little bit of both.
Oh man,
I
this is what I'm talking about, right?
ain't gonna lie about that.
She was talking about Idris. Love that. She the reason we can't talk about beards on the. Every time we have a guest with beards on, I have to be like, okay, Erica, you gonna be all right? Everything good? We have to have a little pep talk backstage. All right, so he got a nice beard. Is that why he got on the show?
No. All right, number 6, unhealthy expectation in a relationship. My partner should tell me everything.
I just said a little while ago that you want to share everything with your partner, and when we say that, what we mean by that is, your everyday activities. If I'm asking you something, there's gonna be things like you can't necessarily every time you move. Hey, I just went to the bathroom. Just wanted to let you know. Oh, I just got off a call. Just wanted to let you know. Oh
Not
yeah, I
even
just walked
that.
outside and look. Just wanted to let you know.
Not even that. Like, some things, like if I'm with my husband, we're married,
Hmm.
and I have a girlfriend and we're friends and we have different conversations. I don't need to share everything that I talk with my girlfriends about with my
Right,
husband.
right. You don't necessarily have to give them the play by play.
Because
You
and this was a problem that I had. I think a while back we had a show talking about sharing your passwords to your email and to your phone with your
Hmm.
partner and
Right.
stuff like that. And the problem that I had with that is that if I give full access to my phone to my partner, for one, that if if he requires that, that means there's certain level of distrust.
Hmm.
And
Right.
for two, I have separate relationships with other people, and they may share things with me that my friend, just because she's my friend doesn't mean she's my husband's friend.
Yeah, that's a completely different monster there.
And that's going to be things that she shares with me in confidence. I don't have to tell him everything that we talk about. And it all relationships, if I have conversations with my mother, I don't have to share that with my partner all the time. And it's unhealthy and unrealistic for us to go into relationships and feel like our partners are supposed to tell us everything and we're supposed to tell them everything. There's a level of trust, there's a level of I know who this person is. I've spent enough time with them. I've gotten to know who they are, know their character, that I don't need all of that in order to feel like I know them, in
Right,
order to
exactly.
feel like I trust them.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is, like I say, it should never be a requirement. Should never be a scenario where you have to, I mean, if you feel free to share it, feel free to share it. I mean, I'm one of those people like, okay, I don't mind. Then, this is what I'm talking about just in conversation. But when it becomes a requirement, when it's like, oh, you're not going to tell me what you was talking about? Oh, that's what it is? That's a completely different thing. Because then it becomes a control scenario.
Mm-hmm. All
We
right,
don't need
number
to control.
7. My partner should know my intentions and they should know what I meant.
So ladies, I'm talking to y'all now, right? Fellas, we don't know how to read minds, right? We try, we try to swami, but we're not able to read minds. I think a lot of times what happens in relationships is that if you've been with somebody for a while, they should know exactly how you feel about something. They should know what you meant by what you said or what you did, the actions that you took. Instead of reading it for face value, they should be reading your mind and knowing exactly how you felt about it, exactly how you meant it. And in all actuality, that's not the case. We have to be able to use our words and explain ourselves for different scenarios. It's not always going to be a scenario where we can read your mind. Trust me, I've tried for years. It just doesn't work.
Mm-mm.
So we have to, make our thoughts and intentions clear.
Mm-hmm.
Even with somebody that you've been with for like 2 or 3 years, it's good. And sometimes you kind of develop a rapport and you kind of know what they're talking about. But even if you kind of know, it ain't enough. Let them know clearly how you feel.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Kiki, use your
Yeah.
words. And I've been guilty of this in relationships. And what I realized is it was a lack of not knowing how to express myself, and
Mhm.
also a fear of expressing myself and not being understood, or being rejected for expressing myself and saying what I really feel or what I really need. So instead, I would go into relationships thinking, well, if you really love me, then you would just know.
Mm.
You would just know what I meant. You would just know what I wanted. You would just understand me. If we were meant to be, then you would just know me.
If I was able to
And
read
that's one of
minds,
the dumbest things now that
it really
I'm
is.
listening to it and thinking back.
Hmm.
That was some of the dumbest things we could ever think. But
Hmm.
there's a lot of grown people right now who think that's how relationships are supposed to work.
And they carry hurt with it too.
Hmm.
They like you don't know what I meant. Oh my God. And it hurts them and it brings them down. It makes them devalue the relationship that they were with or in because of the fact that this person wasn't able to know what I meant. They only could translate what I said or what I did. That's
Hmm.
look, if I could do something like that, I'd be making fortune cookies right
Hmm.
now.
And it's also used in manipulation and gaslighting, because
Yeah.
if I say something to you and then I didn't mean it like that. You should have known that wasn't me. Oh, so you think I'm like that? I didn't
Hmm.
mean it like that. So that means you must not really know me
Right, right. That's using it as a weapon for
then. Hmm.
manipulation. Yeah, and I see that unfortunately, fellas, I gotta put the finger at us. We do that a lot,
Hmm.
because we don't always speak clearly about our thoughts and our intentions, and that's something that we need to do more often, is to try our best to be more clear with our partners.
Divorce. Yeah. And I'm guilty of it because I realized I didn't know how to express myself, and it's a frustrating feeling when you know what your intentions was, but it doesn't
Right.
transfer and it doesn't translate over to the other person, and so it makes you feel like nobody's ever going to get it. Nobody's ever going to see
Right.
my real intentions.
Hmm.
And it's not that they're supposed to see it. You're supposed to learn how to translate it and communicate it.
Exactly. And I like what Derek said right there. It's like back in the day, I got the silent treatment for not reading their mind. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. That whole, okay, well, you're not understanding what I'm saying in my mind, so I'm going to just, devalue what's going on. I'm gonna, like you said, give you the silent treatment.
Hmm.
Or I'm gonna get angry and upset and do all that kind of stuff. And in actuality, it's not my fault that I don't know how to read minds.
It is y'all fault. Y'all need to take a class.
What kind of class? Look, I gotta go to Charles Xavier School for Mutants to get a class on how to read minds. I gotta be an X-Men.
I'm sure there's a mind reader class out there somewhere. Go find it.
Look, when you find one, let me know.
Number 8, unrealistic expectations for relationships. My relationship should be my main source of happiness.
Should be your main source of happiness at all. I mean, there's other things that you should be looking to for, and happiness. True happiness comes within anyway. Being okay and being good with yourself, and being good with your creator, and living life like that. It should I think more than your relationship not being your main source of happiness, you should not put the onus on your partner to be the main source of your happiness. You shouldn't put that type of stress on your partner. Like they have to change what they're doing or how they feel, or they have to make these concessions just to make you happy.
Hmm.
That shouldn't happen.
And I heard somebody say this the other day, and it was perfect. They said, when you come into the relationship, bring your happiness with you.
Right.
Don't come into the relationship looking for the happiness. Bring
Right.
it with you.
Right. You don't want to be depressed, and then because at that point they don't become anything but a drug that's used for. I mean, you might as well get on Zoloft if that's the case. They
Hmm.
become your Zoloft at that
Hmm.
point. They become your healing and your and at some point that becomes tiresome, not just for you, because if something happens in the relationship, you start getting depressed, you get to devalue the relationship, you quit to jump ship. But it can also be stressful for your partner, because if they know and you're acting out to make sure, and I see this happen in a lot of relationships where a person almost feels trapped because their partner is basically kind of putting pressure on them to keep them happy.
Hmm.
Like, you're not doing this for me. You're not keeping me happy. You don't love me. You don't, and it puts the like I said, it puts the pressure on the partner to have to cater to that person's needs, and that's unwanted pressure that you want in any relationship.
Right. Love Tucker says, anything outside of yourself being your source of happiness is a problem. I agree, because I've heard so many people say, this relationship is no longer making me happy.
Hmm.
What?
Right. Right. Now, yeah, you could be in a happy relationship, right? I mean, because the one thing that you do, you want to be in a healthy, happy relationship, but you don't want that relationship to be the source of your happiness. You know.
Now, if they worded it differently, if they said this relationship is causing me more harm than good, or
Yeah.
if this relationship is tearing me down, or it makes me unhappy to where I can't find happiness for myself anymore, that's different. But saying that this relationship is not making me happy, well, where does your happiness come from? Because it shouldn't come solely from that relationship.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so when you have your own source of happiness, then you can look at the relationship more objectively, and you can work through some of the issues without saying, well, this thing just is just not making me happy, so I just don't want to deal with any of it.
Exactly. I like what Derek said there. Like people that leave relationships because they got bored. You see that disturbingly a lot. Unfortunately, you see a lot of people who leave relationships because they're just not being fulfilled in the relationship. The fulfillment should come from yourself and your person first, and then you should look to the relationship, for something else, not to fulfill you and make you a whole person.
Right. And to Derek's point, because like we just said, they look to the relationships for their source of happiness. They also look to their relationships for their source of entertainment.
Mm,
Like, I need you to
mm,
entertain me.
right.
I need you to make my life fun. And
Mm-hmm.
it's like, stop putting all of that pressure on me.
Mm-hmm.
Bring the
Exactly.
fun with you. And I'll bring my fun with me, and we can have fun together. But don't
Right.
come here with your hand out looking for me to put fun into your life.
Like, damn, Smokey. you know,
Right. I am not your entertainment.
there's a lot, and you see that a lot on like social media where these people are literally putting their partners through the ringer. And they'll be, they're causing drama that ain't even there. They like making up drama just to make
Mhm.
it exciting and make it, you don't want to be with anybody who has to make up drama to entertain themselves.
And when you have a person who's operating from that deficit, from that
Mm-hmm.
emptiness, and they never seem to be satisfied and fulfilled with anything, you're always going to be performing for them.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to be thinking of new ways to keep them entertained, to keep them focused, to keep them happy, to keep them engaged in the relationship if they're not coming in there already whole.
Right, exactly.
Let's see
Look
what
at
Derek
that.
said. Yep,
Uh-huh.
that's it, Erica. I just worked a 12-hour shift. I'm not a circus clown.
Right, exactly. We'll be out here dancing, shuck it for you.
Shucking and jiving.
Right.
All right, number 8.
On number 9.
Everything. Oh yeah, number 9. I'm tripping on my numbers. Everything should be a compromise in a relationship. That's everything. You cannot compromise on everything in a relationship. Some things are going to be either this or that, either or. Some things cannot be compromised on.
Yeah,
But
and when
we
oh, go
have
ahead.
this unrealistic idea of going into a relationship thinking that we have to agree on everything. We have to see eye to eye on everything. We got to make a compromise. We got to come to some type of compromise on everything. Let me tell you something. Respect in a relationship is not a compromise. And what I feel being disrespected or being um, feeling unsafe or insecure in this relationship, I cannot compromise on that. We cannot meet in the middle on everything.
Right, right. If there's a scenario where you feel like you are unsafe in a relationship, especially, those types of things, yeah, you can't, there's no compromising those types of things. There's things that, that I see people making excuses for certain people's behavior. It's almost like they compromise their point instead of drawing a clear line in the sand. I'm going to deal with his alcoholism because he's this. He's a good guy, or he's this, or I'm going to deal with her financial and her financial insecurities and things like that because she's a good woman. Some things you're gonna have to put your foot down on.
Yeah, even to the point, even things that are not to the extreme. Certain things like, I spend time with my family. I have a relationship with my family, and I still want to be able to continue that relationship with my family. And if your partner feels like, if they're on the other side, I don't have any type of relationship with my family. I don't care about my family relationships, and you shouldn't either. I'm not compromising on that.
Mm-hmm. Right. I see that more as to be completely honest, I see that more as a reason to reevaluate the
Exactly.
relationship because things like that's some stuff that you shouldn't compromise on. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm spending time with my family. Oh no, you're not. No, that don't that doesn't make sense. Those are things that you should. And if you have a partner who's going to do things like that, then you definitely need to reevaluate that relationship because maybe you don't even need to be in that relationship.
Yeah. If it's big issues like that, foundational issues that they're asking you to compromise on, then shoot, you might need to just rethink the whole thing, like, because there's just certain things that there is no compromise for.
Exactly.
It's either this or it's that.
Right.
Like having continuous friendships with your exes. Oh, I was friends with her before I met you, and this and that and the other, and this is how we've always dealt with each other. She can call me at any time of the night. No, that's not gonna happen inside of this relationship. Now, when you were single, if y'all had that type of relationship, that's cool. But I'm not compromising on that.
Oh yeah, that's different. That's a be-bappable offense. And when I say be-bappable, that's the kind of stuff that gets you be-bapped upside the head. That's a be-bappable offense. You cannot. No, I'm not about to communicate with my ex. No, not like that. No, we was friends. No, it's okay.
I heard a real life situation where the guy was like, we've been friends for 20 years, and she can call me any time of the day and night if she need anything, and we've always had that type of relationship. And you're just going to have to understand it. No, the hell I don't.
I really don't.
I ain't got to understand nothing.
Right.
Understand these two fingers.
Right. Shoot. Matter of fact, I'll give you 4 of them.
Watch this. Watch this. Yes, everything does not have to be a compromising relationship. And I know we get this, you just have to have common sense. I'm going to say that. Sometimes you just have to have common sense and understand that what is considered a compromise and what's considered a breach.
Right.
A breach of a relationship.
Right.
Because if we've decided we're going to be in an exclusive relationship, there's certain things that need to be in place for us both to feel secure and protected and safe in this relationship. And if something that you want to bring in or I want to bring in breaches that security and that trust and that feeling of safety, we're not going to compromise on it. That's just like saying, when I lock my door at night, I'm a close it, but I ain't going to lock it.
Right.
That's compromise. At least we keeping the door closed, but we ain't got to lock it, just in case, people will see the door closed. They won't bust in. They won't try to rob us because they do see the door closed. That don't make no sense.
No, that's not how it works. Nope.
So what do y'all feel in the comments? I'm enjoying the engagement. Can y'all add some things that y'all think or unrealistic expectations in relationships that you yourself personally have had, or that people have expected from you in a relationship that maybe you didn't notice it at the time, but when you look back on it, you realize that was something that was unrealistic, that you couldn't fulfill, or that other person couldn't fulfill. It was something that was unhealthy that you thought relationships should have, but now that you know better. What are some things that y'all can add to it? Because that was just eight. I mean, that was just nine on my list. There's plenty more
Oh, there's a lot of those, man. I
grown
know.
folks walking around here thinking that they have some good expectations for a relationship, and then they wonder why they're always frustrated and angry when those expectations don't get met.
Right. I got one for you. It happens in a lot of relationships. Not everybody came up the same way you came up.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody was raised the same way. So they sometimes people have a different way of looking at things, a different way of thinking about things.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You can't expect everybody to have, had the same background you had, so they're gonna view everything the same way you view things.
Mm-hmm.
They may have come up in a single parent home, or they may have been raised by this person or that person, and so they don't identify with a lot of the things that you identify with,
Mm-hmm.
but it can cause problems when you start thinking about things in such a way to where I don't. You want to be open to all ideas, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you're a victim of the way that you came up, and you get kind of closed into that way of thinking about things instead of
Mm-hmm.
being open-minded. One example: not every black person grew up in the hood. Not every black person, from a single parent family. So when you meet someone who has not gone through that, the way that
Mm-hmm.
they look at things, the way that they think about things is different. It doesn't make them abnormal or anything like that. It doesn't mean that they're not going to, be down with you, or, that they can't make a good partner. It just means that they came up a different way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I like
Kiki.
this one here with Kiki, from Kiki. It's like when the other person doesn't want to see you grow for fear that you will leave them. And that's a
Ooh.
rough one, because I've seen that where, you don't want that person to go back to school and get that degree that they've been wanting to get, and or they get a promotion at the job and you get all jealous, and they're gonna get all this money, or they're gonna go lose weight and get in shape and do all that kind of stuff, and then they're gonna leave me because they're gonna look better. And really what that is that's you, you know basically like focusing your insecurities on somebody else's actions.
Mm-hmm. I've heard people say this a lot, that she not the same woman I married. He's not the same man I married 20 years ago. Are you crazy? Is he
We've
supposed
all
to be the same person for 20 years? So you married him expecting him to be exactly the same as he was 20 years ago? That
exactly.
if that's not an unhealthy and unrealistic relationship expectation, I don't know what is.
So my whole thing with that is, what's the point of being in a relationship with somebody or marrying someone? Because ladies, I've told you this before. If y'all ain't married in that first 2 years, reevaluate. But when you're with someone and you're marrying that person, your whole idea is to evolve together, and you're going to change. This
Mm-hmm.
person is going to change after 10 years. They're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are like, well, you're not the exact same person we met. I mean, now if they, went from being a humble person to a narcissist, that might be a little bit, like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a problem. But those that evolution is what's necessary. And as people and in a relationship, you grow together. That's the whole intent of you being with someone, is to help each other grow. And not to be sitting there and I'm gonna stay the same person I was 20 years ago.
Right.
No ambition or movement.
So that brings a good point to for us to even think about, and this is probably a conversation most people, if any, probably never even have in a relationship when getting together. What's your tolerance for change?
Mm.
That's a good question to ask somebody that you're contemplating getting in a relationship with for long term. Like, what's your tolerance for change?
Mhm.
Do you expect me to be the same person that you met today, 10 years from now? Or do you expect for us to grow and change together? And that's probably a conversation people never even think about having, because we automatically assume that I'm marrying you today and I expect you to be that way
Mhm.
for years and years. This is what I'm getting into. This is who I want to marry, and I want you to be that person. In order for me to continue to love you and be in love with you, I need you to be who I fell in love with the first day, not realizing that's just impossible to do, unrealistic to ask of anybody. So that's what we need to start asking, because people do have different tolerances for change. Some people adjust to change very well. They look forward to change. They're excited about different phases of their life and growing and reinventing themselves. And some people are so resistant to change. They don't want nothing to ever be different, because it gives them a certain level of comfort knowing that things are going to be the same every day as it was before. So you need to have that conversation with the person to understand, do you have a tolerance for change? Because I don't expect to be the same person that you met today 10 years from now. So are you going to be okay with that?
Right. And when we say that, we're not talking about drastic changes like, okay, well, like I said, I'm a nice girl now, or a nice guy now, and I'm a narcissist 10 years from now. That goes to the character. But your main character of you doesn't change. You may change as a person. And that's the big thing. How comfortable are you with this person changing, or bettering themselves, or, like I say, growing together and evolving together.
Right, because when we got together, I was a housewife, I was cooking and cleaning, I was, making sure I take care of all of the things around the house. But 5 years from now, I realized that I wanted to go back to work. I wanted to, advance in my career. And so I don't do all of those things that I used to do when we first got married. Are you going to be okay with that adjustment and changing with the different phases of our life? Or are you going to penalize me because I'm not doing the same things that I did when we first got married?
Right, exactly. And those things have to be discussed, and it has to be, I think everything comes with its own subtlety, and everything comes with its own, process. If you're this person, for 2 years, and then all of a sudden out of the blue, you switch up and you're a completely different person, then they're gonna take pause. They're gonna be like, whoa, what
Hmm.
was this? But if this is something that you are integrating and you're talking about it and you're communicating with each other about these changes and things, then that's the perfect way to do it. Just make sure that with your partner you're always communicating your desires and your intentions. Make sure that's always there. Because that's part of evolving. You can't just change up and then this other person doesn't even realize that you're changing. But that needs to be a conversation that you have at the beginning of a relationship. How, like you said, how flexible are you if I decide to change who I am? And you'll find out a lot of people aren't really that flexible with it. They have their own, like, okay, this is it. This is my line in the sand. As long as you the good little housewife and you cooking and cleaning and doing all that kind of stuff, then I'm fine. But once you change into something else, then it's a problem. Because I married the little housewife.
Hmm.
Or I decided that I was going cut my beard off. No, I married the man who had a beard, and
Now that's
his
going to
thing
be a
was
problem.
big and
Now,
kept.
That's gonna be a problem.
You know what I'm saying? The intolerance.
The intolerance for change. Don't you walk your butt up in this house with a naked face.
He done came and said, baby, it was time for a change. You better go glue that hair back on before you do it.
I actually did that one time. The guy was dating. He shaved his face off and he FaceTimed me and he didn't have the hair on his face. I said, call me back when you grow it back.
Oh wow, he was looking like Marvin.
Because I sat there, I acted like the phone froze up. Because he was like, well, how you like it? And I was just sitting there like the phone froze.
Oh Lord, he was like, Eric, are you?
He was like, I know that phone ain't froze. I said, call me back when it grow back.
So unhealthy relationship expectations. So men's beards grow and you have to shave it sometimes. Don't expect him to always have that beard.
Yes, I froze up on his ass. Yes. All right. Thank y'all for tuning in for another dope discussion. I hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did. Kicking it with Kiki was in the house tonight. Relationship Gumbo podcast. Our boy Derek Jones was in the house tonight. We're going to have to get him on here real soon so he could talk about the Love Academy.
Yeah.
Love Tucker was in the house tonight, and Quincy from the Talk to Q radio show. Quincy just celebrated his 1,000th episode.
Yeah, man, 1,000 episodes. How you did that dealing with Ray and all them folks, man? You.
Congratulations on the 1,000th episode. Congrats, I don't understand how you dealt with Ray all them years. I had to throw that in there. Look, I would have been done pulled my eyebrows out.
But you know what? I love that whole cast of characters. And when I listen to that show, it reminds me of those old radio shows, right? Yes. Where they used to be talking, man. It's refreshing to hear that these days in this podcast world. So shout out Q, man. 1,000 episodes, man. That's congrats.
Yes. And everybody, please, even if you're not watching this live, if you're watching the replay, like, subscribe, and share this content so that we can continue to build our dope discussions community.
Yeah.
We come back here every Sunday, 6:30 Central Standard Time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, to bring y'all dope discussions on dating, relationships, and mental health. We are looking forward to some new guests. Gator's going to be bringing on some guests to talk about autism in children. Yeah. So be looking forward to that in the future. We got some more dope topics coming up. Let me see if I can pull some of them up to give y'all a preview of what we're going to be talking about in the weeks to come. We talked about the unrealistic relationship expectations. We're going to be talking about the language of emotions, because this is really big, because as adults, especially growing up in the Black community, we were never really taught about how to deal with our emotions, how to even name the emotions that we feel. Right. Most of us grew up thinking we just have about a handful of emotions. You're mad, you're sad, you're scared. Shoot, that might even be one hand.
Yeah, I mean, hey, as a man in the Black community, we had like literally 4 emotions. We had mad, we had happy, and sad, and fear was like, you a pope.
Right.
So we didn't have a whole lot of those. But as you get older, you realize that there's a lot bigger world out here. And especially when you're dealing with people day to day, before you can process your emotions, you have to be able to recognize what emotion it is that you're feeling.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be giving vocabulary to our emotions so that we can identify them. And then once you really know what emotion you're feeling, you can trace it back to what was the event or what was the cause of that emotion.
Right. And that's big because if you can, like I say, you can nail down that emotion,
Mm-hmm.
then you can do better with processing those emotions. And one of the big things that we have an issue with in our community is being able to process those emotions in a healthy way.
Yes. So we're going to get out of here. We will see y'all again next Sunday, same time, same place. And if you love our content, if you are a continuous viewer of our content and you want to buy us a cup of coffee during the week, you can hit us up in our Cash App. Send us a little donation, a little something something to
I
get us
like
a little,
coffee.
yeah, get us a little cup of coffee during the week. Yeah, because Gator drank that kill me coffee.
It's called Death Wish.
Yeah, yeah, a death wish.
But look, I'll take a nice venti from Starbucks anytime. So yeah, it's good.
All right, we'll see y'all next Sunday. Y'all have a good evening.
All right, peace out, people.